All right, good morning. Welcome to the uh, archery clinic for military adaptive sports. Um, this should be about an hour to 2 hours long, just depending on questions. And at this time, I'd like to open the floor up to our two coaches, starting with Jeremy. Thanks, Jeremy.
Hey everyone, how you doing? My name is Jeremy. I go by Coach PJ. I'm a level 3 USA Archery coach. I am a two-time Team USA Archery member, so our national team. I am the founder, head coach of Warrior Archery, which is our adaptive archery program we have here at Fort Sam Houston. This teams meeting and clinic kind of started because of our program at Fort Sam Houston. We typically would do our camps there, but obviously with everything going on, we had to go virtual. So this is the day 3 of that clinic, the adaptive archery clinic, and we're gonna end it with this teams meeting. Now I am a compound shooter myself, but I also shoot recurve. I have competed at the national level shooting both compound and recurve. I've competed indoor and outdoor and internationally, so I have quite a bit of experience with all of that good stuff. So I hope you guys have some good questions for me, and I hope I can answer them. All right, Steve.
Okay. Hi, y'all. This is Steve Arnold here in San Antonio. Uh, I'm probably the oldest, but that doesn't mean I'm that. I started shooting a bow in 1956. My targets were banana trees because that way my arrows wouldn't break when they hit the banana tree. I have been involved in archery from just the knockaround kind, stump shooting in North Carolina, to 3D shooting, where I have kind of won the buckles. Here in Texas, we pursue buckles for some reason, keep our pants up. I switched to target archery in 1970. Did a little shooting then. I've won the state championship twice in my age category for indoor target archery recurve. I am a level 2 archery coach. I hope to be a level 3 pretty soon. I enjoy working with the Wounded Warriors at the WTB at Fort Sam, and I'm still competitive. I was in the state tournament this year up in Fort Worth, and I have to admit to all you strangers, I choked. I had the lead going into the second day, and I choked. So emotionally, as a psychologist, I know there's a lot of mental work that goes into preparing your mind and body for success. And so I commiserate with those of you who are struggling mentally when you're trying to get through your shots. And hopefully today we can kind of work on some ideas or talk about equipment issues, etc. So good to be here.
And Steve is also our head recurve coach at WTB.
There you go. Thanks.
So our Facebook Live video on Wednesday, we did a 2-hour Facebook Live. We basically did 4 30-minute segments, and each segment covered a different topic. We did cover, we had a segment on shooting a compound bow, just basic shot process. And then we had another segment on shooting a recurve bow. So through those segments, we went through the shot process and ideally what the shot process should look like for repeatability purposes. Not just because we say do that and that's how it's done. It's for years of research as well as millions of individuals competing. What seemed to work on a consistency, and it's that shot process that we were showing you guys on Wednesday on that Facebook Live. So if you didn't happen to catch that Facebook Live on Wednesday and would like to know about that shot process, whether it's compound or whether it's recurve, Um, Definitely type in those comments on this Teams meeting, or just unmute yourself and ask those questions, and we'll try our best to answer those questions for you. We also did cover on the last segment very briefly adaptive archery, kind of the most common things you would see when it comes to adaptive archery. So if you have any questions on adaptive archery, if you're an adaptive archer yourself, I'm an adaptive archer. So definitely, again, either type in those questions or shoot those comments, unmute yourself, and let it ask those questions, because this is basically what this Teams meeting's for, is for you guys to open the floor to you guys, ask the questions, and we'll just give you our expertise.
Okay, I just want to say the video about the chest protector, I've already ordered me one. Thank you very much, Steve, for that. And the Allen wrench set to keep into your case, very much on point. I appreciate everything y'all putting out. Thank you.
Way to go, Mary. And I'm sorry your bow got hurt, so I hope you have a new one coming.
Oh, I got it fixed. I taken it out to a Leading Edge, and Mr. Scott over there, he took care of me. I was out in about an hour and a half.
Nice.
Yes.
Good to hear.
I'm back in business.
Good, good.
Yes.
Yeah, you were just on the edge of greatness when this thing happened. So I'm glad to know you're still shooting.
For somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of upper strength, what is a good poundage to kind of start out at? What's a reasonable amount?
So, you're shooting your recurve bow, correct?
I am, but I've got my little cousin, and he's got upper disabilities, and I'm trying to get him in it. And the bow you helped me buy, the Recurve, he tries to shoot it, but I think it might be a little too much for him. So what would be, he's 14, so what would be a good poundage to start at for something like that?
So I would suggest always start lower than what you think you need. I know when I started archery, after having my shoulder surgery, I started super crazy low. I think I was at 20 pounds shooting a 20-pound bow. So one bow I could recommend is a Genesis bow. It's a super lightweight bow, and although it's a compound bow, this is a Genesis bow right here. Although it's a compound bow, it doesn't have a let off like a traditional compound bow. It feels like a recurve bow. So, and I mean, he could shoot that forever basically, because it's an infinite draw length. And I want to say they have 4 different models currently. They have a Genesis Mini that's for your little kids. I mean, my 7-year-old nephew shoots that one. And then they have the Genesis Original. I want to say that goes to from 15 to 25 pounds, Steve?
Yeah, about that in there. Most of them can handle it.
And then they have a Genesis Pro, which covers the neck, so it'll be 25 to 35 pounds. And then the Genesis X, which covers 35 to 45 pounds. So you got quite a bit of options there. I would say go with the original, so you could dial it down as much as you need to, and then it'll be a max of 25 pounds.
Yeah. Let me chime in here, Steve. I don't know if you watched the video, but I was again watching a video last night of shooter Jean-Claude Valadon, and he has a shoulder injury, and he has a higher draw. I don't know how your little guy is drawing the bow, if he's setting his arm first and then pulling, and that's a problem. But if he can raise up both his hands to eye level and then come down parallel, that may help him. So send us a video or talk to us some more about how he's trying to do it, and we can probably help get his muscles working.
Yep.
Okay, I'll see him next weekend, so I'll make sure that I get some videos and stuff.
Yeah, and that's for everybody, guys. If you ever had a form issue or questions on setup on how to do this or do that, and obviously we're not able to meet up, just take a video of your process, or have someone video you shooting, and then with your questions, and then send it to us at Warrior Archery on that Facebook group, and me and Steve could review it and make our suggestions. Because one thing is with form, there are a lot of things to fix someone's form, but it's not until the coach is able to see what's going on that we can make the corrections. Now, if it's equipment setup, I could tell you equipment setup right over the phone. But when it comes to form, it's best and more accurate if we actually see what's going on to help address that.
I was going to actually tell Jeremy that when he was talking about defending videos and stuff, I was going to kind of give him a little high five on it and tell the other athletes that, yeah, my first time shooting outdoor competition was at the Texas Regional, and I had no clue on how to read the air, because it's going from deer hunting to target shooting like that outdoors was completely different for me. It's definitely something I've never did before, where everything just right off the line before the first end. He goes, hey, try this, do this. You should be good. Look for this. Watch the flags on the side. This is why your arrow's hitting the ground and it's not impacting, because the wind was blowing right at me. So, Jeremy has a lot of knowledge about what I know, because I've met him firsthand. I actually bought a bow from the shop out there in San Antonio. Jeremy, what was it? I can't remember the name of it.
Leading Edge Archery.
Yeah. I bought my Elite Ritual 35-inch from there, and it's the best ball I've ever had.
Cool. Good to hear you still shooting.
Oh yeah. So even here with all this pandemic stuff going on, still got me some hay and built myself a little range out here. So.
Nice.
Okay.
Are you able to see on Wednesdays our videos on Warrior Archery Facebook page?
Yes, sir, I did. I was on there. I was watching it.
All right, cool. Good to hear.
Okay, so since you're in El Paso, when are you going to get your New Mexico tag for elk?
I'm actually working on that now. I'm working on that. I got to try to get a better connection over there, so I don't have to try to go all over New Mexico just to find a good spot.
That's great. Great to hear.
Yeah, that's actually one week, probably not this coming week, but the week after that, we're gonna do everything hunting archery. So whether it's bow fishing, four-legged hunting, bird hunting, crossbow, all that good stuff. So everything that has to do with archery and hunting, we're gonna cover that as well.
Sweet. Can't wait.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me about that. Like, it's still the summertime, but hey, people want to hunt.
It's in the blood.
It's time to start. Time to go trim out shooting lanes and getting ready to get your feeders going by September.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So I'm glad I got my brother stationed back, or he's back at home now, so he gets to do all that for me. So I can just go up there and just get on the land.
Sounds like a good thing.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Eric, when we were talking last night or yesterday evening, you had an interesting question. I'm pretty sure either Steve or Jeremy might be able to give you some type of answer.
Was this the question about shooting a unicorn with the bow if you see it, or was it some other question?
Yeah, so I'm still here. I don't remember what the question was specifically.
You said you were shooting. You said you were shooting low or left or something.
Oh, so So in my trying to do the bear shaft, so as far as that goes, I'm doing these right now. I have these nano, these 700 nano SSTs, and so when I shoot the with the geez, I can't think of words now. I want to call them flights because of darts, but
With the
with
fletching.
the fletching, thank you. But with the bear shaft, I'm it's what is it? Shooting heavy. So it's to the left, up and down. I'm pretty good. Left and right though, I had it grouped to where even the bear shaft here essentially was landing where the fletched arrows were. Then I got a new string.
What poundage recurve, and are you a left-handed or a right-handed shooter?
I am right-handed,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it's shooting around 34. So 34 pounds. So this is actually my rig.
Nice.
Low ceiling here.
Oh, nice,
so
nice rig there. Oh, okay.
yeah, enough money went into it. So good Lord. So anyway, working with coaches that are local. The bow itself is used. Everything else ended up picking up at Lancaster Archery. So I know one thing I did do or did change a little bit is I have the string a little tighter now than it was. So there's and I'm forgetting numbers here, but the length here is greater now than it was by about
So you're talking about your brace height length between your handle and the
yes.
string?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, because Hoyt usually recommends about a 9-inch brace height for their bows, 9.5 sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way this is right now, it's at about 8 5/8, depending on which side of the string you look at.
Might have to go more.
Okay. Yeah, because
All right.
that's going to affect things. The other day I was using heavier limbs, and the bow was loud because I didn't have a good enough brace height. I was down about 8.5, and as soon as I took it up to 10, this was on an Earl Hoyt Sky Riser. All of a sudden things quieted down, and my arrows started flying like darts. So I would first play with your brace height.
I would say start it out at 9 inches. Just automatically put it to 9 inches. See how it shoots. You'll be able to tell a difference, like Steve said, with the sound upon release. If it's loud, your brace height's off. It should sound smooth with a minimum vibration.
Okay.
What distance are you bear shaft tuning?
Well, with that was shooting at 20 meters.
Okay.
Are you able to get further?
And you're right-handed?
I'm right-handed, yeah.
Okay.
So I can. All I have to do is get more into the street.
Okay.
And I am firing uphill a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, if
well, let me ask you this: I don't know. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't know if when you're letting the string go, if your bow hand is moving, your left hand is moving into your visual field more, if it's moving, jerking to the right, or if it's jerking to the left.
For that, I can't answer that. I don't know. I'd have to take a video and review that.
Well, I know that for me, of course, I'm a lefty shooter now. But as a righty, when I used to release the string, on arm would move to the right and low, and I'd get low rights. And unless I was overstressing my shoulder, then it'd go the other way because I wasn't pushing far enough toward the target. I wasn't keeping forward pressure to hold my position. So I didn't know how your forward pressure is doing on your bow hand when you push out. If you maintain that forward push.
Okay. Yeah. Right now, I can't answer that because I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
I mean, I can do a couple shots here inside and figure it out. But
when it comes to tuning a recurve, it's really hard because in order to get a good tune on your recurve, you almost have to have a flawless shot process. So you could eliminate the human error as a factor when you're trying to determine what's going wrong with your tune. Now, from a mechanical standpoint, if you feel that your shot process and your form is stellar and you're doing everything consistently, or even if it's not stellar but everything is consistent, because consistency equals accuracy, if everything is consistent and done the exact same way every single time and your bear shaft arrows are still flying low left, one thing you could do is play with your knock height. So if you're shooting low, lower your knock height just a hair. It really depends on how far down your group is. So if your group, your fletched arrows are here, but your bear shaft is all the way down here, obviously you're gonna lower it to try to match it. So one thing you could do is lower your knock just a hair, and shoot some arrows. All that's going to do is play with your up and down, though. It's not going to mess with your up and right. It's going to play with your up and down. Now, to fix the stiffness versus weakness, what kind of plunger do you have?
It's a Shibuya, I think.
So it's micro adjustable?
This one is not. Well, I guess it is.
Can you do the clicks in the turn, or does it require?
No, I have to get a tool and loosen things up.
So
get a Allen.
Loosening it up half turn at a time. Just put a little tick mark. Take a little Sharpie and make a little tick so you know the half turns when you make it and the rotations, and weaken the plunger half turn at a time, which would weaken your arrow, so it should push you more to the right. Now, if it does it too much with a half turn, go a quarter turn, and just play with your plunger, and that should help weaken or stiffen your arrow. And that, to fine tune a recurve bow, that's what it boils down to, is your knock height and your plunger.
And we're working with this particular. So the depth should be good. So at this point, we're working with this little Allen key thing here.
Do you? Well, I can't. All I see is your sight on your bow.
There. Oh, hold on one moment. One hand is really tough, and I know you know this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll just bring over this way, trying to get to where I have more room.
Cool.
All right. So rotation. Anyway, this can end up being sideways, so I can get it, I think. Good night. Can't get it there. There we go. So with this piece here, this barrel screw, that's what I'm going to use for the movement, or the
that screw that's sticking out. That screw that's sticking out.
Yeah, inside there.
Right.
Inside that little screw sticking out.
Yeah, that will be to loosen the tension or increase the tension. Right now, if you push down on your button, is it stiff? Is it weak? Is it really, really springy?
It seems firm to me, but I don't, not using it before or really checking, I can't answer.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's firm.
yeah. If it feels like it's an actual spring and it's depressing pretty stiff,
Yep.
weakening it will move that arrow. Because basically what it is the spine of your arrow is a set stiffness, right? The only way we could change that is by cutting it or adding point weight to weaken it. So if you cut it, you stiffen the arrow. If you add point weight to it, you weaken the arrow because now it has something up front to flop it. Other than that, other than messing with the arrow, the only other way to change the stiffness is that plunger.
Right.
Yeah, the one of the things I had to do the other day, though, Eric, was I actually put some at the knock end. I was able to put some little bulldog caps to keep from splitting the arrow, and that also tends to help change the stiffness of the not not that you're breaking arrows, but I was breaking some ace arrows, and I got those little bulldog caps, and it changed my tune because it changed the weight at the back of the arrow. The other thing I'd ask you is when you release, do you ever out of the corner of your eye see your right hand fingers as you release?
I don't. I'm down here underneath with
Okay.
my hands. So it's just
Okay. So
more here.
that looks good.
That
Okay,
looks
you're
like
going
a
back.
clean release.
Yeah, that looks good. What I was aware of is sometimes when people fatigue, they'll get a low left because when they release, their hand moves forward just a little as they follow the
Yeah.
string, and that'll cause your arrows to go low left.
Yeah.
But
I find myself plucking on occasion.
oh yeah,
Plug could definitely
So
produce
so
that.
that'll do it. And I do use a clicker that I'm kind of accustomed to it, but maybe not really. So I'm at least being consistent with the draw
Yeah.
versus bare bow
Gotcha.
or without a clicker.
Yeah. What?
yeah.
So
I've got the.
go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say I've got those same nano SST arrows that are, and they're pretty good arrows. I've got the same clicker on my bar vertical drop down.
Okay.
But sometimes
click.
if I have it set too not hot enough, when I overexert to come back, then as my elbow is swinging around in line, I'm pushing my bow hand off to the side as it breaks. So you might want to set your clicker a little hotter. So sometimes you'll draw through it too soon, but just to see what happens then with the flight of the arrow. It is a choice of 4 or 5 different things could be happening. I like the plunger idea first, your tension, and then I like the knock height idea, and then look at your bow hand tension when you release that string. What do you think?
Do you are you a reader at all? Do you like reading books?
Not really, but I've got this bad boy.
Is that the Modern Archery?
I can't really talk.
Yep.
Yep.
Modern recurve tuning.
Yeah, that was the book I was going to recommend for you. I use it. Anybody that we come across at the program that wants to get serious about competing, we always recommend that book for them because it's a culmination of so many instructors having their tips and tricks all put into a book. And it's actually the book that USA Archery uses for their national team. So it's a really good read. If you haven't read it yet, definitely read that book.
I've gone through it, but It was just skimming before I was actually starting to mess with the bow itself.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how I learn.
So I would suggest read the whole book first, from front to back, because when it comes to tuning a recurve bow, especially if you're doing it on your own, it has to be done in certain steps. And if you skip a step and then have to go back and do the other thing, well, you're just going to have to do the whole thing all over again. So, in order to save time and frustration and to get it right done the first time, I suggest read the book before you start tuning it, and then go back step by step tuning the book while going through the book, the book with it.
Excuse me, can you repeat the name of the book or the name of the book again?
The name is Modern Recurve Tuning. And then in quotes, start to finish, it's by Richard A. Cockrell, Cockrell.
Now, Mary, that book is specifically for recurve bows. It does nothing for a compound bow. Just FYI.
Yeah. Now, what I was going to ask Eric is, I never asked you, or maybe I didn't hear, when you say your bear shaft is low left, how far away is it from the group? Was it 5 inches away, 4 inches?
At the
foot?
20 meters, we're looking at 2, 4, 6-ish, I think.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's you can get that closer, I think, with this fine tuning. But usually, if you can get within a couple of inches, then you're good to go.
Right. Like I said, before I changed the string, had it to where it was just as good as the fletched arrow.
Oh, and why did you change the string?
The other one was old.
Okay.
I still have it.
I asked. Well, put it back on. If you've changed nothing, put it back on and see if everything reverts. So then you'll know that's what it was.
Okay, and I think we put because we end up with the coach here, we made the string, so I don't remember if we have a couple extra lines in here or not. Went slower with more power. Or,
Who's your coach down there, if you don't mind me asking?
So it's a Paul Vogel. So he's been volunteering for years at Fort Belvoir.
Okay.
And if you're familiar with I have to get his last name now. He's another Paul, but he shoots recurve, but he's out here of the Fort Belvoir area.
Okay.
So he's done the games. He's does Invictus, and Paul Vogel helps a little bit with that as well. So seems knowledgeable. Doesn't compete as well as he used to, but there it is. And that's something that we did too in a kind of preparation of going to the qualifiers in March or whenever it was supposed to have been. We did do local shoots and tournaments. So did a state shoot, and we were all doing league stuff as well, just to get online with everybody and kind of get that mental training or understanding of how to control your equipment and not bother other people while they're trying to bother you.
Gotcha.
So that was, I think that was a good thing that we had. Yeah. So I do have 2 more.
That's great. Well,
quick questions.
Go for it.
And that is, what's recommended for arrows? I mean, are the small ones I'm using okay, or do we want to try to go bigger?
It really depends on what kind of competition you're shooting, honestly. If you're shooting outdoors, I always, and Steve could tell you, anything micro diameter. So basically the arrows you have right now. If you're shooting indoors, it's all about cutting the line because you don't have the elements to worry about. So typically, a bigger arrow is better. Yeah. See, like Steve shoots that bad boy. This is my
Yep.
indoor arrow
That's a
versus
X7.
my outdoor arrow, as you could see. Big difference.
Right. So what's the suggestion there then, as far as maybe size?
So you'll have to depend. It depends on the event you're shooting. See what the limit
us specifically.
is. What's that?
For us specifically with the games.
See, with the games, the games is interesting because they really don't follow. They have their own set of rules. They don't follow any USA Archery guidelines. So you have to see what the limit is, the arrow shaft limit is for the Warrior games, which I don't know because I don't do Warrior games. But I would say get close to what that limit is. Don't go over it or don't be exact, but get close to it. So just in case you get some judge that measures you, there's still that little leeway on you being within the legal limit. But I shoot aluminum shaft. Steve shoots aluminum shaft for his indoor arrows.
Indoors. Yeah.
They do make carbon, big fat carbon shafts. I know Victory Archery. They make some decent carbon shafts that are big for indoor. So I'm a big fan of Easton products when it comes to arrows. So I shoot Easton shafts. I shoot the Platinum Plus arrow. I mean, it's not quite as big as the other arrows, but it's accurate. And for me, accuracy is more important than being a big fat arrow because I could get it within the line. And then, so Steve got right there has spin wings on his, which is really good for outdoor. But for indoor, you're gonna want some feathers.
What I was going to say here is this is a compromise arrow. These are Carbon Express Maximas, and they're not super skinny. They're not super fat, but I shot them the other day with feathers out to 80 meters, and that was with a 36-pound bow, and they flew great with 125 grain point on it. And so that's a good compromise arrow. It won't cost you a lot of money. They're Maximas. I will say a friend of mine tried the new Maximas. No, sorry, they tried the Easton Triple Spine, which are a medium diameter, and he couldn't get them to tune. But these Maximas, when I win, I tend to win with these on the, when I need a compromise arrow. So anyway, obviously the answer is shoot the arrow that groups the best for you. Fat or skinny.
Yeah.
All right.
Warrior games
next?
shaft limit is 9.3 or 9.4 for a point.
There you go. Hey Mary, do you mind typing that into the comment, the chats, so people can actually see that, save that?
I can't comment at all. That's why I'm using my mic, because I'm not a member of the team, and my chat bar is not available. Chat and channel meetings is only available to team members.
Okay.
Yeah, but if somebody else can type it, I'll say it again. Maximum arrow size 2315, which is 9.3 millimeter for the shaft, 9.4 millimeter for the point.
So 2315s, my indoor arrows are 2218s. So that's that midpoint. So, and these tune really well. I shoot these out of my both my recurve and my compound. The only difference I have to do with my recurve and my compound is change the point weight. So the point weight, when I shoot it out of my compound, is 100 grains up front, and when I shoot it out of my recurve, I want to say it's 140 grains to weaken the shaft, because I shoot a fairly light recurve bow, so I have to weaken my shaft. So I put a pretty heavy point up front, but it tunes perfect out of both.
All right.
Yeah. And Eric, I'll say on my indoor fat ones, they're 2213s, and I got them from another military shooter, and they just fly nice, and they're 100 grain points on these. They're nib points. So anyway, we want to. What's your next question? Did you have another one?
Oh, I was just looking for guidance on the side aperture.
Ah, okay. Well, I shoot with no pin. The pin makes me crazy, so I just shoot with a circle aperture from Biter, and because the Biter, let me get it here.
Yeah, and I do like Steve's aperture because it's customizable. So you could increase, decrease the aperture size.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two things. So you can change the insert, and you can have an orange one or a black one. Also, by using, since it's a square that holds the round aperture, you can see that there. You can, on your square target, you can use it as a kind of a level.
Yep.
And make sure your lines are level, and that helps a lot. And then they also make apertures that come with the crosshairs, if you like crosshairs, and different size. So I really like that kind of an aperture there. Jeremy has given me one with a pin. I just go crazy because I focus on the pin instead of focusing on the target.
Yeah. When I used to shoot recurve competitively, I used the True Ball XL scope for recurve, and I would have a sticker dot on in the center, and that seemed to help me really well because the fiber optic pin, I'm so blind in my right eye, I lose it, so I just use the dot, and I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Anybody else have any
Yeah,
other questions?
Barry,
Okay.
did you always seem to have some really helpful questions for the group. Have you thought of anything, Mary?
No, actually, Jeremy just educated me on the front tip. When he said change the tip to change the weight of the bow, I did not realize that those tips had a different weight. So I'll pay attention to that in the future. I'm taking a lot of notes right now.
Yeah. When it comes to arrow tuning or being an arrowsmith, you got to take into account the length of the arrow. So just because let's say your draw length, like my draw length, it's 28 inches. Just because my draw length is 28 inches doesn't mean I should cut my arrow to 28 inches. Sometimes I want a weaker arrow, so I leave it full length because of the spine I selected. And then if I want to stiffen it up, I just, put a very light point weight on it, and that will stiffen it up. Or if I want to weaken it more, I just put a heavier point on the front of it. For our competition arrows, like this, it actually has a shank that goes in about that deep, and in 10 grain increments we could break them off, and so this arrow right here is a 120 grain arrow, but I could bring it all the way down to 100 grain by breaking off those points. Something like this, this is a screw-in point, so all I have to do is unscrew it and then just change the point itself. So
yeah, on the screw-in points, sometimes I've had as much as 250 grains in the same arrow, depending upon the poundage of the bow. And so I'll just unscrew this point here, and then I can put in a heavier point. These arrows here, which Eric probably has, these are at 140 grain point because they were kind of stiff for me when I had an injury I was rehabbing, Eric. So if I get stronger, I will take these points down to about 120 and get a little more. But so I really like the top hat stuff. They break off really nice and clean. But again, the Maxima arrows, sometimes I've used 250 grain points to really break that spine down on the arrow. So it's kind of fun. It's like Sergeant Jackson knows, it's fun to be playing with all the equipment and trying to get what works.
Jeremy or Steve, I have a question for you. For my type bow, and y'all seen what I have been doing as I was trying to progress before COVID hit. What video or book would you recommend for me, being that I'm now practicing at home?
Go on YouTube, and obviously, aside from the videos that we produce, if you go on YouTube, I'm trying to find the videos that I. World Archery has their own Facebook, YouTube page, and there are a whole bunch of how-to videos. And these are the videos I used when I was starting out. Really good resource. You have to be careful when you go on YouTube and look up how-to videos on how to shoot a bow, because it's individual's personal opinion or personal preference usually. But with World Archery, it's vetted. It's it's one of those, okay, this is not what we use, but this is what all the professionals use on national teams, not just from the US, but all around the world. So you'll see videos from Korea and all that stuff right there. So it's not just here in the US that are using these systems. It's people all around the world. That's why it's World Archery. But they have a lot of videos on how-tos.
Thank you.
One of the things, Mary, I'll say is on World Archery. Okay. What I was going to say, Mary, is a lot of times on YouTube, if you type in the words "shoot like me," like Brady Ellison's wife, Toya, if you go to their Facebook page, Toya Ellison, she does a lot of demos on how she shoots her compound bow and tells you what arrows she's using and releases. There's a lot of international archers who have done the shoot like me, and it's about a 7-minute video, and you can look at their form, and you want those compound people. The other thing, Mary, is here in San Antonio, I've been going to Buck and Doe's archery range. They're open. Leading Edge is open now, so you're certainly welcome to come shoot indoors. I'm there probably 4 times a week from about 11 to 1 or 1:30.
Are you going to be there later on today, say after 1 o'clock? I still got to cut grass.
As soon as this is over, I'm going to Buck and Doe's for a couple hours.
I'll meet you there. I'll save the grass cutting for later.
You got it.
I won't be meeting you guys there. I'm going camping.
Well, I want to jump in here. I wanted to thank everybody for participating. It seems like it has gone quite well. Very good questions. Thank you, coaches, for all of your expertise and doing this to be part of part of our archery adventure throughout all of these fun times we're having. If nobody else has any questions, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. But if you do have a question, we can keep going. There's no problem. I don't want people to just make up questions to make it keep going. But I'll put it out there on the table. Please, if you have thought of anything over the last hour, feel free to ask at this time.
I know I wanted to add this, Brad, and we talked about this as a possible future for our next camp that we would do if it's a virtual camp. Is this camp that we did this week was your basic how to shoot a bow, basically, how to shoot a recurve, how to shoot a compound bow. Next virtual camp that we have, if we are able to have another virtual camp, would be more of the advanced competition geared how to shoot a bow. So, tips and tricks that Steve and I use to successfully compete, whether it's a form, just placement of the hand, the release of a hand, to the mental aspect of it. So I know that would be definitely something individuals would be interested in, is more of the advanced how to shoot a bow.
Yeah. And we could throw some zombies in there too, I think. So, well, with that being said, I appreciate everybody's time, and hopefully this helped a little bit. And like Jeremy said, we'll probably be doing another archery clinic probably July or August, and we'll make sure that everybody knows about it.
All right.
Okay, well,
I have nothing else.
Well, once again, thank you for everybody's precious time, and hope you enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you next week, or see you when we see you. Take care. Thanks.
Guys, appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. See you, Mary.